What up, my fellow Knicks fans? This is your guy Marcellus Ease, and don't panic quite yet. Now we've seen Olympic Frank do his thing against Team USA, hitting clutch shots down the stretch of the game. He also had nice court vision as he got Rudy Gobert the ball to take advantage of Team USA having lack of size. And defensively, locking up Kemba Walker as he gave him a tough time throughout the whole game. Now a lot of us Knicks fans got hyped up to see Frank come into his own, and in hopes that he actually is reaching his basketball maturity and understanding of the game and getting more comfortable. But at the same time, we have to understand how Frank came up into the professional basketball world. It's a lot different than the world that he's operating now within our Knicks organization and within the NBA. Now, the French national team, just like many of the European teams, the players play within a system. They have certain key spots to be in offensively and defensively, and they're consistently running plays. Now, if we want to see Olympic Frank continue playing the same way with the Knicks, there's a few things that's going to have to happen. One, David Fizdale is going to have to develop a more offensive system where players are supposed to have key spots and positions they're supposed to be at on the offensive end. Now, last year, the Knicks finished dead last in the NBA in team assists. The ball, a lot of times, was not moving at all. Guys were isoing. I mean, the Knicks even finished lower than Cleveland, Houston, and Chicago. Ball movement last season was a very big issue for us. I mean, to finish lower than these three teams here is not good at all. Chicago had injuries at point guard, forcing Zach LaVine to play point guard for most of the season. Houston, Chris Paul was hurt, so James Harden got the green light to do his ISO bullshit. And then Cleveland has a very young point guard, but they were kind of switching between him and other point guards the whole season. So they kind of had a similar situation to us, lack of depth. You mix that in with a bunch of young players, it doesn't really produce good results. Now, Tony Parker last season had made a comment about Frank Ntilikina and his adjustments into the NBA because he understands how he came up. Like a lot of European players, you come up playing under a system, and in America, it's a lot different because sometimes it's very individualized. And I quote, "Frank is the type of player that needs a system for guys to play together. In NY right now, you have to have a lot of young guys who are trying to play one-on-one, trying to show the coach they can play." He's had a hard time to adjust to that. Tony Parker pretty much nailed it on the head. And to understand the context of his comment, you would have to understand of how a lot of Euro players come up into the professional basketball world. It's the same way Kevin Durant said the difference between him, Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, that he'll never fit in is because the way he came up into the league. Now, for one, when European players are brought into the professional basketball world, they play for one club, and that one club has one philosophy, one system, and then they have many youth programs, many youth teams, and then they also have professional men's teams and girls teams. So it's one philosophy for everything. Also, from the youth academies going up to the pros, all the game rules pretty much remain the same. There's a shot clock in every division. The three-point line distance remains the same. Everything is pretty much consistent. So the philosophies are consistent, the basketball rules are consistent, and the players keep moving up divisions, not based off of age, but based off their skill set. And remember, this is all year round. There is no school system tied to basketball. They play for the club all year round, and most of the time, they are training and developing. So they don't have to play in tournaments where they're playing 3 or 4 or 5 games in a weekend. Another major difference is that regardless of your size, you're taught every fundamental of the game. So if you're a point guard, you're taught how to post up. If you're a center, you're taught how to pass the ball. No matter your size, you're taught every single fundamental of the game. This is why you see so many European big men so skilled at passing, like Jokic, or the three-point shooting of some of the big men. This is where it comes from. Now you compare this to American players that play seasonal basketball in high school, then will go on to find different basketball programs such as AAU leagues to play for different coaches. They learn different types of basketball, philosophies and styles. They're consistently learning new systems and playing with different people. So there's nothing really, consistent. Everything is more individual based. The European players are not used to stuff like that, learning different philosophies. Everything from their youth up has been pretty much consistent. So now you could begin to tie in where the adjustments are happening for Frank Ntilikina, especially on the Knicks, where they're not really playing an offensive system. Everything is kind of free flowing. And this is different from how he entered the professional basketball world. Frank definitely has a skill set to play in the NBA, but I'm not sure at this current time that the Knicks are ready for a player like him. They have to have more consistency with signing free agents and signing players long term. Because with all these players coming in and out with these one-year deals, the coaching staff doesn't have time to implement a system for players that are not even going to be there the next season. So there's no consistency at all. And this hurts young players, especially like Frank Ntilikina. Eventually, the Knicks are going to have to commit to the rebuild fully, or Frank Ntilikina won't be the only victim of this lack of consistency. You guys stay safe. Peace.